The bad time began for Bernardo Espina on a day when the air hung heavy as iron and the arrogant sunshine was a curse. That morning his crowded dispensary had been almost emptied when a pregnant woman's water burst, and he banished from the room the 2 patients who remained. The woman was not even a patient, but a daughter who had brought her old father to see the physician about a cough that wouldn't go away. The babe was her 5th, and emerged into the world without delay. Espina caught the slick, rose-colored boy-child in his hands, and when he patted the tiny nates, the thin yowling of the lusty little peon brought cheers and laughter from those who waited outside. The delivery lifted Espina's spirits, a false promise of a fortunate day. He wasn't committed for the afternoon, and he was thinking he would pack a basket with sweetmeats and a bottle of tinto and go with his family to the river, where the children could splash, while he and Estrella sat in the shade of a tree and sipped and nibbled and talked quietly. He was finishing with his last patient when a man wearing the brown robe of a novice bobbed into the courtyard on a donkey that had been ridden too hard in a day of such heat. Full of contained excitement and importance, the man stammered that the Senor Physician's presence was requested at the Priory of the Assumption by Padre Sebastian Alvarez. "The prior wishes you to come promptly." The physician could tell the man knew he was a converso. The demeanor contained the deference due his profession, yet there was insolence in the tone, almost but not quite how the man would have addressed any Jew. Espina nodded. He made certain the donkey would be given small amounts of water, and the man food and drink. He himself took a cautionary piss, bathed his face and hands, swallowed a piece of bread. The novice was still eating when Espina rode out to answer the summons. It had been 11 years since his conversion. Since that time he had been fervent in his chosen faith, a man who observed every saint's day, attended Mass with his wife daily, and was ever eager to serve his church. Now he traveled without delay to answer the priest's demand, but at a pace that would protect his animal under the copper sun. He arrived at the Hieronymite Priory in time to hear the molten sound of bells calling the faithful to the Angelus of the Incarnation, and to see 4 sweaty lay brothers bearing the basket of hard bread and the cauldron of sopa boba, the thin friar's broth that would add little flesh this day to the bones of the hungry paupers gathered at the priory gate. He found Padre Sebastian pacing the cloister, deep in conversation with Fray Julio Perez, the sacristan of the chapel. The gravity in their faces reached out to Espina. Stunned was the word that flickered into the physician's mind as the prior sent the sacristan away and greeted Bernardo Espina somberly in Christ's name. "The body of a dead youth has been found among our olive trees. The youth was slain," the priest said. He was a middle-aged priest with a chronically anxious look, as if he worried that God wasn't satisfied with his work. He had always been decent in his relationship to conversos.